Alexis Williams, why don't you come on out real quick? Most of you know her already. Alexis is, she's been in the Ylopo ecosystem for 3 years. She started as a CSM, moved into a management role, a VIP role within the Ylopo community, and was recently promoted to the head of CS for MAVerick. So let's give her a round of applause. And you're obviously very passionate about the product.
I am so passionate about the product. So for those of you who do not know me or that have not worked with me, I am super passionate about helping clients convert leads at a higher level. So moving into MAVerick has done just that because our clients have seen so much success and it allows you to manage and do everything at scale. So I'm super excited for our panelists today because they're going to share with you how they're able to accomplish it. And then hopefully, you guys learn some stuff as well.
Yeah, you can feel the passion, right? It's amazing. It's fantastic. All right. Well, without further ado, let's welcome our panelists. We've got Daniel Keaton, the realtor in residence at MAVerick. We've got Mike Chung from Profits Coaching, typically the smartest gentleman in the room. Yeah, have a seat. You're actually going to sit near the computer, Dan.
That makes sense.
And then we've got Danny Rinaldi, who is an operator genius for his team and a MAVerick expert.
Yeah. That's fair. All right. So to kick things off, so like I said, I'm very passionate about all the tools that MAVerick has to offer. So Daniel, you're up first.
Yeah.
What I would love to know is out of all the tools that we have with MAVerick, I would like to know what you think has been the most impactful and let's just start there.
Sure. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. And hear me. All right.
And we are switching over to the laptop screen. If you guys could flip that over, He's going to be sharing his screen.
Okay. So, this is a little bit vulnerable for me because I'm showing you guys the inside of my entire business. So bear with me here. So you'll see all the good things, all the bad things. But yeah, some of the favorite reporting that I have in here. I really love the lead router. The algorithm that's created that G explained so eloquently earlier is amazing, and it's clearly helped our business. So when we started on MAVerick about 2.5 years ago, before it was called MAVerick and it didn't look this pretty, it was, by the way, I was paying a lot more than $300 a month, but that's a crazy deal.
Yeah, actually, what were you paying a month for it?
$2,500 for 2 years.
So that's $2,500?
$2,500
per month or per year?
And I would have paid more if they squeezed that out.
Is that per month?
Yeah.
Per month. Okay, just curious.
So, it became an integral part of our business. One of the big challenges you have when you run a team is the idea of fairness, who's getting, the lead and you're blaming it on this person. They got a better lead because of this. You have all the different routing systems and round robin, and the routing tool solves so much of that. It takes it away from me of being the bad guy who gets the next lead. So this is our lead router reporting. There's so many reports in here, but I can quickly look in here and see who's been offered how many leads in so many days, and who's claiming them and who's not. And, a lot of times people will say, well, I'm not getting opportunities. I don't get enough opportunities. And I can look really quickly in 7-day, 30-day period, you've been offered this many opportunities and you've taken 1 or 2 or none. And it answers the question, or at least creates a question. What are you doing? Are you full-time in real estate? Are you doing something else? I can only give you opportunities. You have to take the opportunities, right? So we're analyzing this. And
quick question for you. So what I heard you say was, because you're seeing quickly how many leads are being distributed, you can then manage your agent's expectations. Is that a good way of putting it?
Absolutely. So they have targets, right? So they know if I'm going to get more opportunities and better opportunities, we have standards and metrics. I'm happy to share with anybody. I have a whole document of things that we measure and we have standards. But they know the conversion standard, for instance, if they want 10 appointments from a month from our inside sales, they have to convert at least 10% or more of the leads we get.
Yeah.
If they want 15, they have to convert 50%. We keep it simple, and then we throttle it down as they struggle because we don't want to overload them. I've learned the concept of destructive abundance. We think the answer to our problems in real estate is more leads. At least that's what I used to think, or the agents think. I just need leads to solve all my problems. But usually it's a matter of finding the right pace for each person because, some people can handle more, some people can handle less. And so we're not trying to judge somebody you need to do more deals. We celebrate efficiency, right?
Yeah.
It's not as much productivity, but efficiency, because that's the problem.
And guys, I just want to say I love this because so many people that I connected with, even when I was a client success manager on the Ylopo side, I was so surprised to find out how many teams weren't tracking KPIs. And I love this analogy, but if you have an agent with 1,000 leads in their name and they're putting one touch on the lead, right? That is not going to convert a lead. So by giving them less, they are doing more and converting at a higher level. And that is what this lead router does.
Yep. We found that and measured it, that when we would give people fewer, they would actually convert more. And I know it's counterintuitive, but it's the stats show that. So we can show like which agents are doing well. So I like to sort by conversion rate. I look at this all the time. I want to know which of the agents are the most efficient, right? I'm not necessarily looking at how many deals they've closed, but who's the most efficient? I can just quickly sort it by there. So Madeline right here is doing really well at almost 19% conversion. Ashley, Susan, and interestingly, they're not necessarily the top producing agents in our company, but they're actually making the company some of the most money because they're efficient with what we give them. And so we analyze that and we say, who's doing it well?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Sure.
I'm going to interview Madeline and say, look, you converted 19%. Tell me, let's make a process out of it.
Yeah.
And then, the folks are struggling, we help.
Sure. Yeah. And Mike, in your experience, when you look at a report like this and you see how Daniel is doing it with your coaching clients, is this something that you would see as profitable for them as far as managing lead flow?
Yeah, this is uber important. So a number of years ago, guys, I had a team that had 2 lead sources, just Zillow and Realtor. And then we started checking conversion. Instead of checking overall conversion of the team by lead source, we broke it down by agent. And this is what we found. If the top converters on the Zillow side were the worst converters on the Realtor.com side, the top converters on Realtor were the worst on the Zillow side. So I started doing research to my other teams, and everyone had the same pattern. So I tried to find out why, Barry. And honestly, I think it's just the psychology. Some people think this lead source is better, so they work it harder, they call more often, so they get better conversion. So then what Daniel's doing here, we just give the Zillow leads to the top Zillow converters, and the Realtor converters get the top ones. They do not get any of the other leads.
Yeah.
They're not working them as hard, they're not converting. And then here's the real important part, which we'll get to next, is after you figure out conversion, that's not necessarily your best opportunity, because you got to take that one step further to ROI. How much is that lead source costing you? Is it a pay-per-click at, maybe $12 to $15, or are you spending hundreds of dollars buying from another lead company there? So to get to top ROI, it's first based on conversion and then cost of the lead that will bring you company dollar.
Yeah.
I love that. I was going to say, I've been with one of our top teams, Gary Ashton. They use the lead router like crazy. Scott Hull, he's really great on their team. But one of the things that he was absolutely dumbfounded to find when they started using the lead router is that for example, they were looking at Zillow Flex. There's a lot of Flex people in here. I know there is, right? But with Zillow Flex, they were like, yeah, our conversion on our team is really great. We're at 10%. But when they took a deeper look, it was absolutely staggering how many agents were actually at the top, holding the team at over, one of his agents had 34% conversion rate. And then down at the bottom, you had people with 2% conversion, 4% conversion. And if you're on Zillow Flex, why are you passing the leads to somebody who can't convert them?
Right.
And so the lead router allows you to find those golden nuggets with your agent.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because Howard started to bring this up. So at $300 a month on your P&L statement, besides the agent split, your biggest expense for most of you is going to be your salaries. Take the number of hours either team lead or sales manager has to find all these problems, $1 per hour. This product is damn cheap because now they can focus most of their time solving the problem, making you more money than spending hours at whatever you're paying your sales managers to go through the tons of spreadsheets. So this is where it's really leveraging time and money. It's saving you dollars per hour in finding the problems.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of people that I pay for their opinion, and Mike Shum is one of them. We literally asked him to be on this panel to do exactly what he's doing right now because the guy's freaking out being it. All right, you can go to.
Okay, yeah. A little nervous having, a coach analyze all my numbers. It's okay, I appreciate accountability. That's what it's all about. Visibility, everybody sees it. Okay. So another report that I like is the sales manager report, and a specific column that I like to show is the reassigned leads. I don't know how well you guys can see this. So I just sorted this column by leads that have been given to an agent but reassigned. Now, how many of you guys are on Zillow Flex in here? Okay. Are there other Zillow Flex folks in here? Okay, few. So one problem with the reporting in Zillow Flex, if you guys know, if you take a lead away from an agent, it actually, if they did not convert it, it increases their conversion rate, which is a weird problem. So you're kind of pigeonholed to keep those leads with the agent and not resort them, or else you don't know true conversion. So with MAVerick, it keeps the record forever for, if they've been assigned a lead. So for instance, this agent, he's a great agent, but I'm going to pick on him a little bit. So he's got 199 leads from our inside sales that have been reassigned. And so what happens, a lot of agents will say, the leads suck, Howard's term, like the leads suck, no, your follow-up sucks. I don't put it that way. That's not my style. I like MAVerick to be the bad guy. I like people to like me. So MAVerick solves that problem. I'm just like, oh, I know the system now. I'm sorry. Hopefully it'll give you more leads, right? But I can sort this real quickly by stage type. And I don't know if you guys can see right here. This pointer, I'm pointing it backwards. I don't know what's going. But right there, closed under contract, there are 3 right there that were assigned to him that we reshuffled and somebody else closed.
Oh.
So it's such a powerful visualization. It's a, hey man, that's 15 grand or whatever or more out of your pocket. So you can click on this and we'll do it, but it'll take you to Follow Boss and you can analyze what happened. I was looking at one of them last night and it was a no-show and the agent complains like, oh, this is a terrible appointment from inside sales or a no-show. Well, inside sales took it back, re-nurtured, gave it to another agent, $500,000 deal closed.
Yeah,
So it's so important to track that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Daniel, great point. G kind of mentioned this, but I think a little incorrectly when he was on stage. He says that if the agents aren't performing, you take the leads away. You don't take the leads away. Daniel nailed it. The system is taking the leads away. I've had plenty of conversations. There's entitlement issues with a lot of agents on teams that these are my leads. Yeah. So then if you go and take them, it builds animosity. They don't feel as happy with you as they did before you took their leads. Once they agree to these rules, which you'll have them agree to, the system is removing the leads or reassigning them.
Say that again.
You're not the bad guy.
Say that one more time.
The system is going to reassign the leads, not you. So the system's the bad guy, not yourself. So you keep the energy and culture strong with the rules you set up front with them buying into them.
Yeah.
Danny has
Very different.
I was about to say, Dan Rinaldi, y'all don't know him, but he's on Ryan Crichton's team. They have a really great story about how, because they were one of those people that started reassigning leads. People get scared about losing agents. And so, Danny, I'd love for you to chat a little bit more about how that made an impact on your guys' team.
First of all, what you guys said is that the system is the bad guy, which is true. And we sort of look at the reassignment and the nudging as sort of the nuclear option. Like several things have transpired. You've had several options prior to this happening. Like you know how to use your smart list. I know that you know how to use your smart list. And you know that I know that you know how to use your smart list. So it's sort of this unspoken thing that you're sort of at this point making a choice not to work that lead. And we had a situation fairly recently, 2 days ago, where there was a lead that was just serially not being followed up on. Hot lead, looking at properties, saving properties, viewing properties over and over and over again, very engaged in our system. Agent who had it wasn't following up with it. And we used to have a lot of anxiety, like, I'm going to see this guy in the office every day, and he's going to know I reassigned his lead. It's going to be a whole drama. And we just said, screw it. And we reassigned it, gave it to a new agent. And 2 days ago, he just sold the guys. At Sunday night, we got notification once we landed on the plane, $720,000 condo on the strip in Las Vegas, put it into escrow, and it's going to be a good close. And sort of, I was thinking through what the shift was for us, and it was sort of my desire to close more deals outweighed any anxiety I had towards possibly offending someone who wasn't doing the job they're supposed to do. And it's not even the job they're supposed to do for me or my broker. It's the job they're really supposed to do for themselves to close more deals. So, I wasn't going to give someone slack in that situation.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me touch on one more thing Daniel said. I had a team up in Wisconsin years ago, and each of the agents had 100, 200, maybe 300 leads, and conversion was okay. It wasn't great. So I had this idea just as an experiment. What happens if we reduce all of their lead flow to no more than 100 leads total? I tracked conversion, and conversion went up a little bit. So I said, wow, that's interesting. So then another month or two later, I said, let's get them down to 75. Oh my gosh, conversion went up again. So eventually we got these agents down to no more than 25 leads per month, and they were crushing conversion. Here's why. Almost all teams that I check their data, they're supplying too many leads to the agents because the average lead in this country needs to be reached out to at least 10 times. The average lead in this country is actually reached out to 1.2 times. So they're all cherry picking, hoping this guy today, this lead today is going to be the one that's going to list or buy with them. And if it's not, they just wait. They know you're going to be sending them more leads today, tomorrow, and a lot of them. So we don't have to do all the lead follow-up where all the money is made on here. So by reducing that number, you're forcing them to make more calls to the limited number of leads they have. They will make more money. you will make more money and conversion will always go up.
Yep.
Yeah. And also, let me just say, if you're a solo agent and you're wondering how this can be valuable to you, when you're hearing business owners talk about how they're managing their agents, you need to be thinking, am I managing myself that same way? So don't think that when we're talking about to team leaders that, it's like, oh, okay, I can space out. No, you need to be asking yourself, am I managing myself this way? Daniel, I know that you had some more things you wanted to share.
Yeah. So I'll share the nudging tool. So this is relatively new to us. So like I said, I've been on MAVerick for almost 3 years, and this was part of the merge of the two companies. We love it. So I did a quick report a few months ago where I compared our first 6 months on the nudging alerts rules, and I'll explain in a second, prior to the other 6 months, and it was a 20% increase in conversions of our leads. Okay.
So pre-nudge to post-nudge, you increased your conversion by 20%.
By 20%. Yeah.
For what kind of leads?
Okay, all kinds of leads. So I mean, we can sort it by different types of leads, but we kind of bunch them all together because they filter through our inside sales. And so there are two that I'll look at right here. Rules, if you guys will look at this. So the actively listed showing homes, so that's bottom of the funnel, and you can define it. You can configure how you want to define it. But we essentially align this with a smart list in Follow Boss. And when it's overdue, I can see, green is good, red is bad, like really simple. And I can look in here quickly. But what we do is on Mondays, we come in and we look at this and we can see how many leads are overdue of the ones in that stage. And I click manage and I can send a text to everybody. So I love that it texts and doesn't send a notification from another app, because I think we have so much notification fatigue, right? So everybody's got their texting on. And so the agents get it. They respond. Like they come to me and say, this works. I get like anxious when I see it, and that's good because they need to address the lead, but they don't ignore the text, And so they come in there, and on Mondays, we nudge them and say, hey, this is overdue in the rule. And then on Fridays, if it's not fixed, we reassign. Again, they know the system, they understand it. And when they know there's a consequence, standards without consequences mean nothing or suggestions, they're going to perform better. And some folks don't like it. I mean, I'll just be honest, like some folks don't like that. But what I tell new agents that come in is that I have found the most successful agents move towards accountability. And so I'm trying to set the stage that, hey, if you're a top performer, you're going to like this accountability, right?
Yeah.
And the top ones do. They're like, great. But the ones that don't like accountability, they kind of work their way off the system. Again, I can make the system the bad guy, not me. So I love this. And we also, the other one we look at is the low funnel long-term nurture. Our goal is sub 10% overdue on that. So we nudge those two each week and reassign on Fridays.
I love this. And there's one thing I want to say about this, just so like it can resonate with you guys. But what this nudging does is it's like basically Daniel, who's like the boss, right? I don't know how you guys feel about it. Like, I don't know if you've ever like been employed, right? But, or like out of like, not real estate, not 1098, right? But for my job right now, if my boss was to ping me and say, hey, hop on this, I'm always like, and I do it really quickly because that, like, I know that that's important. And so that's what this nudging tool does at scale. And the really nifty thing about it too, is like the more that you nudge, the less your agents are going to need the nudging over time, because they're going to hold themselves accountable, because no one likes getting pinned and called out by their boss. That's what this tool does for you guys.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. So what Daniel's talking about here, I learned from Jesse B from Call Action years ago, is that leads come in, but leads are actually coming in this funnel in 3 different stages. We tend to treat them all the same, but they're not. Like explain in a minute here real quickly, is top of the funnel leads are called aspirational leads, which they'll be in there from 91 days to 2 years. They're just thinking about buying a house. They're not sure if they want one yet. So probably the place where you don't want to spend most of your agent's time deciding on those. Then after they get out of aspirational, they get to the research phase where they're actually in the car looking at homes from 31 to 90 days. They're getting closer, but not there yet. Why I love the nudge feature is you can identify those bottom of the funnel leads that are in transaction mode. Instead of giving your agent 100 more people to call, what are those 3, 5, or 10 that are getting close to a transaction? And those are the ones I'd be nudging to increase conversion, while these other leads slowly work themselves down the funnel, and they will be that hot lead next month on there. So you can sort out the best opportunities and focus on them with this product.
What were you going to say, Danny?
I think a great part about the nudging also is it sort of trains the agent. It lets them know that someone's watching. And, you know, it's 1099, like you said, they're not W-2 employees, so we can't necessarily be all over them. You have to be here. You have to be here at this time. You have to do this. You have to dress a certain way. But what we can do is let them know that we're watching and set the expectation. And similar to what you said, like I worked at W-2 jobs my entire life prior to being in real estate. If my sales manager ever gave me whatever the corporate equivalent of my job at the time was of a nudge, like I knew I better get on that right away. Stop what I'm doing, get off the phone, stop texting, get off my coffee break. I need to get this done right away. And super silly analogy, but I have a crazy little 7-pound dog. His name is Mr. Ritz. And my wife named him, not me. And Mr. Ritz knows, and this will make sense as I go through it real quick. Mr. Ritz knows if he pees on the carpet, he goes in his kennel. Pees on the carpet, goes in his kennel. Well, after a while, the agents start to realize, don't follow up with my leads, get a nudge. Don't follow up with my leads, get a nudge. And what starts to happen is the more you use once you just sort of rip the Band-Aid off and start using the nudging feature early on right away and embracing it, you have to use it a lot less later on because the agents start to create that own internal workflow. Okay, 7 days, hot lead, 2 weeks, warm lead, 1 month, cold lead is active, follow up with them today. And they know in the back of their mind, they don't want the nudge, but they don't even realize they're not so much thinking about the nudge anymore. It's just a learned behavior. I follow up with my leads at the appropriate cadence. So it's not just sort of a tool to reprimand them. It's a tool to sort of set the proper expectations.
Yeah, actually, I'm taking notes myself because I've been using nudges more as like an alert, right? And not operating under the reassigning aspect. So I'm taking notes myself. I think there's a lot of wisdom there.
So quick story about that. So when we first got the nudging tool, I was terrified to reassign leads. Like I was sweating it and I was delaying it, but I was looking at a lot of red on here and I knew that was costing us money. It just opened up my eyes to a lot of things. And so there was one rule that had 800 leads overdue, and these were met with leads, like appointments from inside sales, 800 leads. And I was sitting with my sales manager one day and I'm like, dude, we just got to do it. And I'm like encouraging each other, like, okay, I'm thinking when I do this, like my life is over. My phone's going to blow up. The agents, where are my leads? I'm going to get cursed at, whatever. I did it. I signed 800 leads with about 40 agents. I got one phone call and one guy was like, I think I'm missing a guy in my follow-up boss. One person out of 40 even realized that we reassigned the leads. Over time, people started to realize and say, I was working with somebody, I can't remember their name. Can you find them? So like you said, it happens less now. It happens less and less. You don't have to do it as much.
Yeah.
But it opened my eyes. It opened my eyes how many are being missed.
Yeah. So even Danny, like talk about your team, like how you guys, like you had post-COVID, a larger team, you guys downsized a little bit, but even with MAVerick, you've been able to scale back up.
Yeah, so when I first joined the team, we had a little over 20 agents. And, you know, interest rates, all the different things that went on in the market. You know, a lot of people got the real estate license so they can go take an Instagram video, you know, in a $3 million listing. But then they never really did any of the hard work, the prospecting, to go ahead and generate new clientele. So a lot of those people went away. And we have a really good core team of 6 agents right now. And we're in an aggressive recruitment mode. But what we did was when the downtime of sort of end of 2022, 2023, when things were a little slow, we over-systematized. We put all of our systems in place so that we didn't have to catch up later on when we know the inevitable wave is coming. We don't know if it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So we know the wave is coming, so we wanted to get everything in place now. So when we have 6 agents, we can scale up to 40 and have everything operationalized really well. So we really dug in deep on that. And what's been very helpful with us is putting standards in place of a workflow, of a yellow brick road. So what we teach is a deal a month, because there's so many things out there. Oh, how do you make $1 million a year in real estate? How do you do 10 deals a month in real estate? And that's all great. We all aspire to that. But I think for most people, if you could do a deal a month, especially as a new agent, that's a really good baseline to build your career off of. So we put in place 800 calls, 40 conversations, 10 appointments to 1 deal. Some people a little bit better, some people a little bit worse, but on average, across our team, that's what it comes out to. But in order to hit that as a team, we have to make sure all the micro pieces, the agents, are pulling their weight to get there so they can do their deal a month. So the weekly stat email that goes out every Sunday night comes out to me, comes out to my broker, goes out to the individual agents. We get CC'd on that. It is very, very, very helpful. So I did some math here so I don't have to do it live in front of everybody. But so let's take this agent here, Graham. Great guy, workhorse, works his butt off every single month. In the last 30 days, he made 1,107 calls, and he had 62 conversations. And we count conversations, the follow cost metric, as 2-minute or more calls. So that means every 18 dials that he makes, he's having a conversation that lasts over 2 minutes. It was 3 to 4 times that a couple of months ago. It was 50 to 60 dials until he can keep someone on the phone. And we wanted to get that way down. He was working too hard to have a conversation, and he was not on track for his 800 dials to equal a deal. So we wanted to hold him to that and help him get better. So we know when we see a number that's a lot higher than that, maybe it's 30, 40, 50, 60 dials to a conversation, well, I got to go to follow-up list, and I got to pull up all those calls that are under 2 minutes and see, is their opener messed up? Is that why they're getting hung up on a lot? Are they handling that initial objection that we know all leads are going to throw at us? Just looking, interest rates, I'm going to lease for whatever period of time. And we really have to drill down and help him correct that. Now he went from being the worst on our team for dials to the best on our team for dials through that training because we were able to pinpoint it. And then we started looking at how many conversations are converting to appointments. So he had 62 conversations and he set 17 appointments out of that. So that means every less than 4 conversations, 3.6, but let's say 4 conversations, he's converting someone to an appointment. He used to talk to 20, 30, 40 people and book any appointments. So then we started looking for all the calls that were above 2 minutes and figuring out, okay, is he not asking for the appointment? Is he asking for the appointment awkwardly? And we sort of did this at every phase of the pipeline. Because what I really think MAVerick is great at with these reports all in one place, and I was so excited for the AI call grading because I listened to hours and hours of phone calls. This is going to help big time. I'm going to have a lot more free time now to hang out with Mr. Ritz, my crazy dog. But basically, it lets me know where I need to look. Because if I'm just pulling a random call from the CRM in an attempt to hopefully train that person, that individual call may not be representative of the needs that agent needs, what he needs in his training. So my training will not be representative then of the correct phase of the pipeline where he's struggling in. So MAVerick gives us all the data. It's not just data for data's sake. It's data that's actionable so we can go ahead and pull the trigger on giving them the training they need to move forward.
Yeah. And so what I'm hearing is you were able to analyze their performance. I'm going to summarize what you said as far as dials. And how long have you been using this report and this approach to increase your team's performance, would you say?
January 1st.
Okay. And what type of impact do you feel like it's had on the performance of your sales team? Are they selling more? Are you able to buy less leads? Have there been any iterative impacts of this exercise?
So we've been able to keep our lead flow the same, but our production is basically doubled. So we're doing more with 6 people now than what we were doing with 20 people.
All right. So say that again, because I'd seriously just say exactly what you said one more time. I want to underline it, highlight it.
We're getting twice the results from half the effort.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's exactly why we wanted these tacticians to go into this platform and share what they're doing so that you can do half the work and make twice the money, so that you can increase your performance. Because I think Mike said, we all thought it was just buying more leads was going to solve the problem. And it's weird because this is a Ylopo, like we sell you leads, so you would think we'd be like, more leads, but we really want you to make more money, which is why we built MAVerick to be a revenue accelerator.
Yeah. And there's one thing that I wanted to mention about this weekly stat email that's made a really big difference on their team. These stats are just for their team leads. It doesn't include Sphere. It doesn't include, my dentist is in here and I called them or whatever it may be. And so these stats are holding them accountable to what you're expecting them to do on team leads that you are paying for and handing over to them. And I know Ryan didn't say, Danny didn't say this, but on Ryan Brighton's team, they convert 90% of their leads are team leads, which is super impactful.
Well, and Mike, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but if I was running a team, let's say 3 or 4 agents, and I was trying to decide if analyzing performance really is that important, if software like MAVerick is really that important in my business, what are some things people that are considering dialing in their training and their performance, what are some things that you would tell them about that?
First of all, you can only improve what you track and measure. If you don't know where your opportunities are, how can you take advantage of them? I would say first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then even like this next, I think Daniel showed me another slide you had showing the different stages from a conversation to appointment set to appointment met.
You want to pull that up?
Oh, sorry. So you combine that with what G was talking about, the scoring all the calls. Each one of those stages.
Right. Sorry.
Each one of those stages is going to tell you what the challenge is and how to fix it. Now that you have call scoring, it's going to save me hours of time, because we know if there's a deficiency, then they're not meeting most of the people they're setting appointments with.
Yeah.
We know exactly from checking the call scoring what they're not saying or what they're not doing. So it saves, again, time, and time becomes money for them and for the team.
It's huge. Absolutely. So this is something we do on our webinars, as Howard will do. Any parting shots that you want to share, Daniel or Danny, Mike, for the group? Any things that you think that they should be considering?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you have to be able to measure something if you're going to scale it, and this has been the key to us scaling. We've grown pretty significantly since we started. We have a couple offices now, and if it was a time in real estate. I don't know about you guys. There was a time when you didn't have to do this. I feel like leads were just flowing in, money was just coming. It was like, it's awesome, dude. Everybody's making money, and then everything changes. And I think if you don't have something like, I don't know how you would grow without something like this, without getting deep into spreadsheets, which I was spending hours, and I'm not good at spreadsheets. I was like auto sum, average. That's all I could do. And but putting everything in from follow-up skills taking me hours. Yeah. And then Scott Hall comes in and he's like, I'll do this for my team. It takes you 3 seconds. I'm like, what? I'll pay you whatever money you have, So it's been a great tool for us for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I would say tracking this stuff is uber important, but a lot of the greatest salespeople in this country are high expressives who don't jazz out on data and looking at numbers on there. So if that's you need to find someone in your organization who likes data, who likes looking at this. And before I check my emails or social, I'm going into my dashboards of my company and finding out what I need to do that day before I check emails and solving other people's problems. But
wait, say that again? That's big. Did y'all hear that?
Before I'm solving other people's problems, I'm looking at my business and working on that first, because 90% are emails or someone else is putting a demand on your schedule because they need your help with something. So I save that till the end on here. But by tracking this first and working on it, I can make my company more money before I could help someone else, do the same for themselves on there. So you need to get in. The other problem, I've got a lot of friends in the software industry. One of the biggest challenges I see when we buy these products is adoption of actually using it. So before you purchase this thing, find out who's going to be managing it, who's going to open this thing up first thing every day, and then report back to you as team leader on what opportunities we have within the company.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's fantastic. Yes, dude. Danny, any parting shot?
Big thing for me, I was never a data guy historically, but what I found is we network with a lot of bigger teams than us. Like I said, we have about 6 agents right now. We speak with teams regularly that have 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 agents. And that could be very, very intimidating. So I know at one point when we first shrunk down to the team size that we were, it could sort of feel like, well, that works for a team of 40 or that works for a team of 50. But what we've slowly come to realize, and it's really been an epiphany for us, is if I can figure out what that team of 50 is doing on a per agent basis, like what their metrics are, how they track things, how they analyze things, and apply that to my 6 people, well, it sort of now gives us a yellow brick road of how we can get to the 30, 40, 50, 60. And it's all about scalability. We're all real estate agents, but we're also all business owners. And I think for most of us, we want to build something that produces for us even when we're not actively working it. And I think tracking your data, putting your systems in place that MAVerick, Ylopo, and FollowUp give us, it really just creates that roadmap for us so that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that all the hard work we're doing and the data and the tracking will pay off at some time.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just have one more comment, because we mentioned spreadsheets a bunch of times here today, and I have some teams that are still on them. For me, one of the biggest advantages of MAVerick over a spreadsheet, if their formula, and one formula is off or one decimal point, or they have an extra zero in one spot on all these tons of tabs on a spreadsheet, it is very difficult to find the problem. Because the output is wrong, but what number, what metric has that extra decimal point, or the formula was off by 1 digit?
Yeah.
Where here, it's all set. You're gonna have, it's garbage in, garbage out. Yeah. Here, the data is gonna be much more clean and accurate than on your spreadsheets for sure.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but he can talk data to me anytime. Just geez,